Hi, this is Mark.
And this is John.
And
we're the Armchair Thinkers. We felt that we would address this video to those of you who live in Ontario, as we do, and are dealing with the kind of circus that is the Wynne Liberal government.
Wynne, first of all, says that we're paying too little for energy, which may be true, right? But then she decides, let's instead of doing clean, renewable energy that has no carbon emissions, that is moderately priced, like let's say nuclear or hydro, she's doing the most expensive forms of energy, which is solar and wind, and she's subsidizing it and sticking people with the bill, and also doing little things here and there to make it more expensive by requiring that it be made in Ontario.
Yeah, now there are many things that are wrong with this. Some of the stuff isn't her fault, strictly speaking. Dalton McGuinty, who was the premier before her and was also head of the Liberal Party here in Ontario, initiated many of these deals with wind companies, solar companies, and a lot of that was really just because he was greased up. His ego was stroked. People wanted to tell him that he was a great guy for helping the environment and doing all of this great stuff in alternative energy. The problem is, while saving the environment is extremely important, we do need to understand that it needs to actually save the environment and not just be some cute thing that they do for the sake of politics. And I'm afraid in this case it was the latter. Wind turbines at this moment are not actually carbon footprint reducing. When you actually look at the way that they work, they take more energy to manufacture to put in there. They're not just a blight on the eyes, they're also a blight in terms of nature and the ecosystem. They kill many of the animals that live in the area. They've been put in some environmentally sensitive areas over which there's been a great deal of controversy, and I happen to personally know many of the people who are fighting these issues, and they basically say that the whole thing is corrupt from start to finish, and I know that they're biased, but that basically the provincial government made deals with people and need to put these green energy projects in, so they're pursuing it to the bitter end, slapping a label on it that says, we're holy, we're righteous, we're green, when in reality they don't care about saving the environment. They're just trying to make a deal with these sorts of people, and they made the deals furthermore when the technology was still in its infancy, rather than, say in the case of solar, letting it be adopted small scale to drive down the price. This could easily have been doable. They could have helped subsidize ordinary Ontarians by encouraging them to put solar panels up and wind turbines, like little wind turbines just in their property, and selling the electricity back into the grid. But they didn't do that. They did it with big corporations that didn't do it in a particularly efficient way, and then they sell all of the electricity, the excess electricity, to the states at less than the price than it cost for us to produce it. So the whole thing is a sham, and Canadians aren't even the ones benefiting from it.
That's exactly right. They decided to sell Hydro One, some Hydro One shares, and their main motivation appears, number one, a money grab. Number two, all those people paid there are no longer public employees, so they're off the sunshine list. Number three, they're selling it at a loss because this is a very profitable company, and now investors will be taking a share of that profits on a going forward basis, and they didn't sell it for the proper price because it's such a political hot potato.
Yeah, it's like a lot of this stuff is just poor management more than anything else. Like, it's not even just cynical behind the scenes deals, although there's probably a lot of that stuff going on too. It's a terrible shame, and it's just something that goes to show why it's so bad to make deals that you haven't thought through, that you can't get out of, and that you're held to, particularly when it's not something federal, when it's something provincial, and you've got less clout as a leader. You're chained now to this whole thing at the corporation's mercy. And Wynne is extremely unpopular for it. She appeared this autumn at the Ontario International Pawing Match, which sounds very boring, but really what it is, they've got all these attractions and all these people come, but it's just like a fall fair. You eat the cotton candy and see all the demonstrations, and the vast majority of people go to it and never actually see the plowing. But she went to speak at this event, and I think got booed when she was talking about some of the great things that her government was doing, and disingenuously said, "Oh, I see there's a mixed response." Mixed response? Almost everyone was booing you. How could you possibly say this? And later on, I think one of the people from the Liberal government was interviewed on the radio, and they were defending it, saying, "Oh yeah, well there were just a couple of loud hecklers or something like that," and then they played back the tape, and he was really embarrassed because right there, lying completely shamelessly about the reaction, he was proven wrong, and everyone who was listening to the radio could hear it.
Yeah. So right now she's behind by about 10 points. Her opponent is Patrick Brown. So I would not necessarily say that I would support Patrick Brown at this point, because I do believe he will say something stupid when the time comes to campaign. So I am not sure who I would prefer right now, because I don't know what he will do. But I am sure he will do something, because he's a social conservative and very famous for some of his backward views.
She's just inherited a lot of the problems from the last Liberal government, and that so often happens in politics, particularly in the Westminster system, where you have these tightly knit parties, and the person that's groomed next for leadership just carries on in the footsteps of those that came before.